Welcome, folks. Reginald Adams here in the RCA studios downtown Houston, Texas, planet Earth. And we're working on a wonderful mural for the University of Houston Graduate College of Social Work. Before we dive into our community canvas conversation today, I'd like to introduce the artists that are helping bring this beautiful public art to life, starting with my man here to the right.
Matthew Jean-Baptiste.
Avion Love.
Bimbo Adenuga Samson.
Kadavian Baylor.
Joshua Bennett.
And since COVID-19 has landed here in the United States, and most specifically here in Houston, we've been having a regular conversation daily about how really life has changed, how it's affected our lives. Every day we see each other. Fortunately, we have some meaningful work to carry out in the midst of this pandemic, but we've been just sharing our own insights and perspectives on what's happening, how our lives are changing. And that's really just been the conversation that becomes the starter for our morning connections with each other. And so today, the question has been, do you know anybody who has tested positive? And for the last 2 weeks, we've been asking that question. Now I can affirmatively say I know several people that are positive, and 2 of them are in the hospital. Both are likely to recover, but it's very real now, very different than 2 weeks ago when I could honestly say, no, I don't know anybody. And so getting to that, as it's now touching folks that are in our inner circles, how is it affecting your individual lives? Matthew, what's going on in your world?
Man, me personally, when it comes to the whole pandemic that's going on right now, my life has been shifted in the sense of having to be stuck in that one discussion every day, where even being in the studio with all of you guys every day is only one subject. I go home, same thing. TV.
I'm tired of COVID-19.
Yeah, TV, same thing. Basically, even like the whole community, sometimes, you don't see anybody walking around not being careful, not being mindful about COVID-19. I think the population itself is more like know what's going on than the government. Saying that to say that we as people, we're into that protecting ourselves when we're not getting that from the actual government per se. Because, I'm saying this to say shifting to school, because I'm home every day with 2 kids.
You have 2 twins.
Yeah, and I don't get an email to hear what's up when they're going back to school. And
It's supposed to be the beginning of May, right?
That's what they want us to believe, but every time, what I'm seeing right now with the government in general, it's they say a date for you to keep moving, and then when that date comes, that date will shift to a whole different date.
It's a moving target.
So, exactly. So I think so. Yeah, they just want you to believe this day is the day that you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be fine, and then when that day comes, they're gonna say, "Hey, we said that date if you will stay inside, but since you don't want to stay inside, so we're gonna give you more days to follow." So
what are you hearing?
So what I'm hearing right now is that HISD in general is not going back in order. They're not gonna reopen anything. The school year is over, but I think the government itself trying to, the city of Houston itself trying to not letting that be heard out there so people don't start panicking. I'm saying this to say, me in general, I already know my kids aren't going back to school. But I wish somebody would have told me that,
What would you have done differently? If they would have come out day one saying, hey, school for the rest of the semester is a wrap. Parents, figure it out. What would you have done differently?
Because that would shift my whole concept, because I need to start checking on who's gonna be watching my kids daily when I'm on the road working, when I come in the studio every day, because my wife, she's working from home right now, but she's not gonna be at home every day working, so there's gonna be a day she's gonna have to go back to keep seeing patients and stuff. So who's gonna be watching your kids and while she gone, while I'm gone, and stuff like that? So that would make me start having to
think differently
on what to do with these kids, because they used to be in school. Like their school used to be the babysitting spot / education and everything. You know what I'm saying? So now you're talking about like you being stuck at home with these kids, and the government trying to keep some clear and needing informations away from you that you should be knowing. That those information should be the ones you should know to make you feel like how to move forward with this whole coronavirus thing that's going on.
But I think you said it though. If the public were informed of the facts, people would go crazy.
Exactly, because I'll be like, man, who's gonna watch these kids? And then I'm gonna start knocking at their doors to find out how can be a better help for me, because I didn't ask for this. So now you telling me to stay at home. Now I want you to give me something to do with these kids, because I don't want them here. You know what I'm saying? I love them, but I don't want them here because they need to be in school. They need to be somewhere. And then you have to understand this will shift your whole economic system, because today is the first. So let's say if you get stuck at home with 2 kids, you can't go to work. So rent is due, cell phone is due.
Mortgage, car notes,
everything is due at once. So you need better information so you can determine what to do with your life specifically.
And Josh, you have a 83-year-old grandmother at home?
I do.
How has this shifted? Because she came to Houston just a month ago.
Well, luckily we got her to Houston in December. So while it was still on the other side of the world.
So we thought.
Or, at least she's not in a retirement home, right? Because then she'd be like...
Nobody could see
her, right. But like now, I mean, she's like so freaked out from watching the news all the time. She's scared, she's old. So now when I go in the house, it's like I got to run straight upstairs, take off all my clothes, take a shower, put on new things, if I want to even be in the same room with her, and I still can't even be this close with her. You know what I mean? She's not comfortable with that. So
you're social distancing inside your house?
My own home, yeah, man.
As a result of her concern, or as a result of a doctor's orders?
Doctor's orders, as well as her concern. And I think that the doctor's orders, in a sense, relieved her, just to... Because we've been practicing social distancing anyway, but I think she was a little annoyed by that fact, but now she understands more clearly that her doctor is give her strict instructions not to
interact with anybody.
Right. 84, you're in the twilight of your life, you know what I mean? And that could be catastrophic.
How's that affected the dynamic of your household?
Man, it's, my mom is now taking care of her more because she hasn't been at work for a month because she works in the hotel business. They're real catty with each other, but they got nowhere else to go because they, you know what I mean? So, there's that, and, everything has changed. Like, going to the grocery store, you want to minimize that because... it's once you go out,
you're exposed.
You're taking a risk. And it's a reality. It's like you said, it's changed a lot in 2 weeks. And they're saying that this week and the next week is going to be the worst of our fears is what's to come.
Why? Because the testing, more testing.
The testing, the curve, all of that. They're looking at data from China, France, Spain, Italy, and we are right now in the mix of it. You know what I mean? It took that long for it to, and then we got more people sick, and we haven't even done all the testing.
Yeah, we haven't even scratched the surface.
We got more people sick than China and all those places. So, and it's only been about a week and a half. So, think about it. Once people start dying, New York is a perfect example. You just have to look what's going on in New York, California, Washington State. people are dying. So yeah, it's affected, and I'm worried. I get scared.
Avi, you're the youngest amongst us, so you're in it's like different generation, millennium crowd, I would say. How has this affected your life?
I think personally it has affected me to see how strong as a person I am in relation to the fear that's going on with this pandemic. Like, there are a lot of people that are afraid, and I personally,
I mean, rightfully so, though, right?
yeah, most definitely. But it shows me where my thought process is, and it doesn't have to do with anything in regards with being scared. It just shows me that I need to continue living my life every single day, and it's helped me do that in regards to, like, it's not promised. Like, tomorrow's not promised, whether Corona's here or the flu or anything. I still have to stay as positive as I can, because, like Matthew said, rent is the first. My rent is due. You know, like, I can't be worried about not going outside, not coming to work when my bills are still due. You know, like, that's my reality.
So you're in a unique situation, though, in that you have work.
Yes, and that's another thing that it's shown me, that my line of work, or where I am on my path, is a good one, because I'm still working. You know, I'm still able to work. There's something, my mom and her boyfriend, they don't have work, and she's my mom. You know, she's asking me, hey, I may need to hold out on the payment that I'm giving to you for this month, because neither one of us are working. So that impacts me. I can't focus on Corona. I mean, ultimately I'm focused on it, but the impact is strong, you know, because it's affecting my mother and her income, you know, and my income is still here, but it's not as much as my mom's or my aunt's. So I can't be the one to struggle or like
collapse or shrink,
into my house because I can't be afraid to go outside.
What's the biggest adjustment you've had to make in the last 2 weeks?
Honestly, if I'm being honest, I guess the grocery store. But like I said, I don't really surround myself with much of this topic, to where my life has pretty much stayed the same since Corona, other than going to the grocery store.
So when you're with your friends, are you all talking about Corona?
Slightly, but we're talking about it as it is present time, like what's going on right now. Like, for example, me and my friend talk about the fact that we're going to be getting checks soon. So it's not really, we're hoping that we get checks soon in light of where's my check? Yeah, that's what we're talking about, the money. And so.
Have you filled out the census?
Yes.
Because I don't know if that's true.
I know that's what I heard, if you fill out the census, but I also heard if you've done your taxes, that's how you're going to receive a payment, is through the tax return. But even if you did it last year, it's still going to get to you that money. I don't know if the census thing was kind of...
Maybe that was just to get people to do it.
Yeah, to do the census.
So Samson, for you, what's the biggest change or changes that have taken place in your life the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, personally, of course, it's affected our interrelationship with people. What you normally do is, you see your people, you hug each other and do all sort of, pleasantries and all that. But that's changed. I don't know if I'm to say it's changed forever, but now we do feet tapping and all that. So we changed. So the thought process.
Foot tapping?
Yeah.
Can we demonstrate?
Yeah, like that. So we tap the foot, right? And that kind of take the place of handshaking and hugging and all the stuff that we do. But much more than that, it's changed. Definitely, you have to change now, particularly with the lockdown. You have to change now how you spend your money. Because normally, yes, you think you have the security of maybe what you do and how you make your money. Yes, if that is not even delayed by the lockdown. If as an artist, I could still be producing and all that. But the fact is that you don't know how long this is going to be. You don't know what effect it's going to be. So if you're going to be spending like, let's say you're going to be spending like $50 per week, now you have to consciously reduce that to $25, so that you can actually stretch your expenditure over what's supposed to be for 1 week over 2 weeks,
Or now it could be longer because
we don't know.
Lockdown was.
We don't know. So now that we're hearing more extension, I think you have to reduce it to $10 if that is possible.
What is going to happen though? I mean, what do y'all think is going to happen if you say people can't go to work for a month and school is out indefinitely until the end of the semester? What's going to happen?
I mean,
okay. Let me say something too, because the effect of mine, of course, like Matthew said, I had to be conscious of what's going on here for me and what's going on right then in Africa, in Nigeria. I see now that this actually zeroing on the responsiveness of government and the effectiveness of governance. I see the difference over what's going on in the United States, even despite the fact that the people still have one or two complaints. I would say that you guys are in heaven, because if you think about what's going on in Africa, I was just watching a video while driving to the studio today. Like a popular actress was complaining, like, okay, we all have to stay home, but there's no light. But that's what we take for granted here. There's no light. We're everywhere, generator. So you can imagine the noise pollution, even despite that people are home, that you're going to be buying gas and all that. So spending the money you don't have or the money that's not coming in on gas. And then normally before anything like this break out, the leaders will fly out. But now there's no place for them to fly. Now they have to begin to think that they've got to make the hospitals, equipped, because at this kind of situation, they can't even fly out. So, they have to stay there.
They can't run away from it.
And use the same facility with the general populace, which they wouldn't rather do. They would rather fly out
to London, fly to Europe,
and everything. So those are the changes. But of course, I have to now be checking home and be asking and drumming it into the ears of my children. Make sure you take this, into cognizance. Make sure you do that. Make sure you don't relax, and all that. I have to keep doing that as a form of education on my part as a parent, to.
Do you feel like children? My bad. Do you feel like your children are taking it as seriously? I mean, they're in their 20s and.
Yeah. Just like Avion said, the generation. I can't remember what they call their generation, the millennial generation. They don't actually, they are not in the full consciousness of the impact. Maybe because the effects of the coronavirus is actually widespread. So you definitely may not necessarily see a person that is directly affected that But I'm sure if there's anyone, even if the person is millennial, have somebody really die from this, that will actually bring a shock and a shift in mindset for that particular person. And I'm sure that person will be a disciple to actually speak to his or her network, about the consciousness of it.
Yeah, to speak to that, I mean, I asked you that for a reason, and me and Avion are probably the closest in age in this room. Man, I don't know if it's because I work out and right now all the gyms are closed. I hate to say it, but I'm not as scared of this thing as I notice older people are. And that's why when I hear Josh talk about his grandma and his mom, they're really fearful of the times right now. I know it's because they see the people being hit by this the hardest are in the same age group, and they have the same characteristics. And that's funny because my life hasn't changed too much since this has began. My income is still fine. We're still blessed to be able to come here every day and work in respect to taking precautions. But my family, my grandma, she's sending me text messages every morning, sending me Bible verses. Like, she's become more religious, and she's like, "Hey, you being careful. Be careful. I know you're not taking this as serious, but take it serious." Like, she's preaching, and she's sending all these messages that are rumors. You know, these things are completely true. And I'm like, did you do your research before you spreading that? Because you're spreading fear amongst people when you do that kind of stuff. You know, so I know that, but you know, are other people is in control of their mental to be able to manage that?
The fear factor is real. Just think about it. 2 weeks ago, there was a run on toilet paper. You could not find, you still can't. There's still places you still can't find toilet paper. You can't find just hand sanitizer, Lysol. That was all purely fear. Because there's not been enough shits taken and asses wiped to justify all of that toilet paper.
Yeah.
That was all fear factor. And I think that's the hard part for humans, is that we get information now, especially with 24-hour news cycle. You get information, and the immediate thing is, because it may be like, oh, I'm gonna share this, I'm gonna warn other people. They just send it off. This lady sends me this fake official document. It had the National Guard seal on it, and all of these type errors and syntax errors about, and you have 24 hours before the National Guard and the president's going to enlist this Stafford Act, and they're setting military troops in place. Get all your food and everything you need for the next 4 weeks. And it looked fake official. Somebody sent that to me. Somebody I respect, an elder. But I could just tell, like, man, somebody just typed this shit up on their computer, put it on a fake letterhead, and now this is what's being sent out.
Yeah.
I can filter it because I have enough logic and common sense.
Exactly.
But how many other folks are like telling their friends and planning towards a disaster or those circumstances when they're so not real?
And that has a chain reaction. Like, if somebody believes that, goes and buys up all the toilet paper, then people are going to go buy the toilet paper just because other people are buying it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they may not have even seen the video that said that the National Guard was coming, you know?
Exactly.
And I think this whole pandemic got people overspending now.
Yeah.
Because some people, when they get their checks, they're trying to overstock on something that they think that's gonna be useful when, if they have to stay at home, if they have to not be able to go on the street or whatever. Because me, I found myself like 3 weeks ago stocking on some stuff that I would never be stocked on if it wasn't
Man,
really
I
alive.
bought a case of canned soup and beans and a 100-pound bag of rice. Like the apocalypse was coming, and I was, you know, and I'm not a fearful person, but I was like, man, if shit goes down, I want to be prepared.
Yeah, because
Like, we're prepared for war.
Right, but I spent way more money in groceries than I would have.
Yeah.
And now that I can look back on it, I was like, man, that was like that
exactly.
that was unnecessary.
Because I watch myself overspend on groceries, and when I look at my receipt and stuff, in the course of less than 2 weeks, I spent almost $1,500. 15
In
on
groceries.
groceries.
You stockpiled it.
I stockpiled.
You ready?
Yeah. So now,
Ready for what?
Party at Matthew.
I mean,
You got the groceries.
with you seeing there's nothing going on, because you have to understand, these people staying at home eating, you're gonna have a whole diabetes problem pretty soon, because when you're eating and not exercising and stuff, so that's more problems.
I've been eating better. I can honestly say that I have. My eating has improved.
That's
because of this.
That's you, but you have to understand, some people, they're still keeping the same diet.
Oh, sure,
they've been holding on.
Maybe eating worse.
Exactly, because what they doing is just eat, and then
Now they're bored.
some of them start even on drinks too, like alcohol. You stay home, eat drinks. So when this whole thing is wiped away, you're gonna see more diabetes cases than you ever seen.
I don't know, man, because I mean, I've been going out every day walking, and the parks are full.
That's what I'm saying.
People are walking in the parks, man. People are riding their bikes. People are exercising. There must have been 100 boot camps at Herman Park yesterday. And so I was thinking, okay, so yes, I think in any situation there's this polarity, and there's folks who like go to one extreme. So there's an audience of people that are like, man, I got to get super healthy, I got to work out, I got to build my immune system, and that's where their focus is, because they want to be physically fit and prepared. And then you have another sector of society that's like extreme on the other side. That's I can't leave my house, I'm stuck watching TV, I'm going to eat all this food, this processed food, I'm not going to really cook. And then there's everything in between, and it comes down to like, where do you find yourself in this? And the one thing I keep coming back to, and it's really the basis for this conversation, is how fortunate we are to have meaningful work. Because an unfocused mind is a terrible machine.
Yeah.
Like, when you don't have somewhere to channel your thoughts will be everywhere external forces want them to be, which right now is afraid and hoarding and spreading misinformation. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the University of Houston, the Graduate College of Social Work, Dean Alan Detlef. Appreciate your vision for seeing the power of public art to give us a chance to do this work. This work being creating this mural that really speaks to those that are on the front lines of this, right? The Graduate College of Social Work, they're educating the therapists and the social workers and the case managers and the counselors that are working with the children and the elderly and the people in the hospital and our geriatric community. And so it's very interesting timing for us to be able to do this work, still do it in the midst of this, and then have this conversation. So with that, folks, this is Reginald Adams and the team working here in Houston, Texas, downtown Houston, planet Earth. Thank you for joining us for Community Canvas. We'll check you all out next time. Until the next time, wishing you peace and love. Stay sanitized. We're out.